Hey everybody, it's me Corey. I'm here with Howard. I decided to come back up to Austin because I had a good time talking about game and stuff last time, and we're going to do it again. We're going to talk about some poor game systems, some game systems we thought weren't very good, but in spite of that, we had a good time playing the game because we had good game masters, and I think sometimes it doesn't matter what the game is, as long as you're with good friends and a person who can make the game as fun as possible despite the limitations of it, or even despite people not knowing how the game works because it could be, too complex or whatnot.
Definitely happens. I think one of the more complex games we played, and no offense to people that will probably watch this, Omni Quest. The designers of this game are nice guys. We know them. We played the game. We found it complex. At least I know I did. And some of the people I've seen that run it found it too complex, and they kind of made up some numbers as they were going just to kind of keep the game flowing. However, when the guys that wrote the game, I'm going to say their names, Gary and Mike, when you guys run that game, it's amazing. Y'all tell stories that are complex. You involve everyone's characters. You keep it flowing because you know each rule, and you make it just run. I think some of the best games I played, honestly, were Omni Quest games being run by Mike Walton and Gary Walton. Mm-hmm.
They were really good. That said, when anybody else had the system, no one knew what they were doing.
That's pretty much true.
There were so many rules in the book because there were so many powers and so many things that it's insane to be able to know everything, or shut down the game for long periods of time looking stuff up so you know what everything does. I don't know. Who knows? And I think 3.5 edition of Dungeons & Dragons had the same problem.
Oh, God. And then it went crazy with all the
Pathfinder.
The editions. Yeah.
Yeah. I liked Pathfinder when it was the main book. Maybe the player's book when that came out, but nowadays I can't play Pathfinder anymore. There's too much. Like, making a character is crazy.
There's a website for that a friend of mine found, and he got me into it, which essentially breaks down all of the Pathfinder editions, mm-hmm. so that you can start creating your character. You can pick whatever wacky class you want because it's got them all compiled in one place, and all the different other things that you can do. It's all in the same place. So you can look them all up, and then you can click on each one to look for the explanation.
Why would you need something like that to play a game?
An insanely complex database that's easy to navigate, and kudos to the web designer that went through all that much trouble. But yeah, it's exactly that. If that were to be printed out as a book, the book would be amazing and impossible. I like playing Pathfinder. I've had great times playing Pathfinder. I can't. I need it limited. I need a little more structure because I can't deal with all of the things. And when I say I'm going to run Pathfinder, people are like, oh, well, can I play this from this book and that book? And I don't want to deal with it, so I don't run Pathfinder anymore. You know what the easy answer is for that? Only if you buy me a copy of the book.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
Either they won't play the crazy thing, or you will have an amazing library of Pathfinder books.
I like that idea. A little exploitative. But hey, when has a good game master never exploited his players for stuff?
What?
Come on.
You're supposed to do that?
Getting people to get you, getting sodas for you, bribing the game master with food when you come. That happens all the time.
I think the host of my Sunday night game generally demands it, but
yes,
not as the game master so much as I don't want to leave my house. Y'all are coming to my house, and on your way, pick up some food.
But yeah, that's a thing that's happened to me in the past where you could bribe the game master and then get cool bennies.
And girlfriends are the best at it, hands down,
mm-hmm.
or wherever.
Let's talk about a system. So I wanted to run Star Wars for Roll20 for the website, and that game just didn't work out for us. And I've had good experiences with the Fantasy Flight rule set for Edge of Empire, but for some reason it didn't work with this gaming group. It didn't work with the way I wanted to run it because I wanted to run a more military campaign, and it came out kind of stale, and nobody cared to understand the rules or the dice.
Well,
So
there are multiple levels there. One is in a military campaign. I mean, if you're going from battle to battle to battle, and for people that are role play heavy, that's boring. It's combat to combat to combat, and we want more character development. Another issue though is when you use Roll20, which I appreciate the heck out of that website. It's pretty cool, but it adds its own layer of complication over gaming, which is unfortunately complicated in its nature.
it is. Like, Roll20 has some great ideas in it, but navigating it's so much easier when you're around a table and you just pick up your dice and you roll it and you have fun throwing those dice down. And in Roll20, you click the button. And then you look at it and you're like, what is that? Where am I looking? How am I supposed to do this? And it slows things down. And I wish I lived in a place where all my gaming friends were, instead of some in Austin and some in other states. Maybe one day we can all get together and do something like that. But in the meantime, it's Roll20 for now.
Yeah, and I like Roll20. Like I say, it is a neat site, but yeah, it does add an extra layer of complication to that particular game, which is crazy complicated to begin with.
Yeah, a lot of people like the new Star Wars system because you can interpret the dice different ways, and it can add to role-playing and add to the flavor of the game. That said, it's also complicated because those dice can be interpreted in all sorts of ways, and you have lots of choices at that point in time. When you see your dice and you see you have 3 advantage, do you want to have a critical hit, or do you want to have some extra benefit, or do you want to stymie the villain? There's so many things you can do that the player sometimes just shuts down and goes, what happens?
And
there's dice there, what happens?
Too. That can work both ways.
Oh, yeah.
Which I think you were having that problem in our latest game, 7th Sea.
Yeah.
When it's like, now you need to list for us what all these possible bad things are. And you're like, I don't know. It doesn't work? No. The rule says it works.
It works.
But there are other things that go wrong. You need to come up with a bunch of ideas right now.
So I talked about the story system in 7th Sea, but I also don't like the rolling system in 7th Sea either. There are 2 things I don't like about it. First off, that it's all front-loaded. Well, first off, before I say that, you always succeed. It's success with consequences. So it's weird. There's one line in the 7th Sea book that says, this game is not about suspense. And that kills the entire game for me. Like, there needs to be suspense for you to have a proper, good gaming experience. When you roll that die, you don't know what's going to happen. And that makes things interesting. And by saying, oh, you always succeed, you get rid of that. I understand what they were trying to do. They were trying to say that, hey, sometimes a bad roll can stop a game and shut down the entire story. You know, if you can't get that clue, or you can't, or if you can just kill that boss like that, then all of your work goes out the window. And they're trying to make it so you can facilitate good storytelling through that. But when you get rid of suspense, you also get rid of a lot of the fun. And the second thing is that the rolls are front-loaded. You already know what the consequences are going to be, and you get to pick and choose which ones you want. And that again, pulls out suspense from it.
It does.
And I think that's a big flaw with 7th Sea. And, well...
After this campaign, you think you're going to be done with this system?
Yeah, I think I am. I am. Even though I spent a good deal of money on it.
I bet.
I
felt the exact same way for Dungeons & Dragons 4th edition. I bought all the books in advance. So excited the day they came out. And then we went and played it, and we're like,
Mind you, the next game we're going to be doing is going to be Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition.
I like 5th edition.
And we're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to do a total comedic plot. And I hope you'll join us for that.
That'd be nice.
Excellent. Well, high five. Thanks for watching. We'll see you later.
Keep gaming.